Hello everybody, this is Katya, and tonight I'm feeling kind of relaxed and mellow, and I'm wearing my yellow Haydn Rue romper that I think I featured in one of my earlier videos. So a good title for tonight's video might be Mellow Yellow, since I'm wearing yellow and I feel in a kind of mellow mood. So what I'd like to do tonight is briefly talk about three things. One is I'd like to say something about my experience with makeup, using makeup, and how that has progressed over the last year and a half. I'd also like to say something about some changes in my health and my physical condition that I've noticed since I've started cross-dressing. And then finally, I want to mention a couple of items that I would like to add to my wardrobe. So let me begin with my experience using makeup. So when I first started using makeup, I was basically just using some concealer and maybe a little bit of powder. I was using concealer to hide some of the circles under my eyes, and also dots or splotches on my face, and then I would maybe put a little powder on that, some rouge, and then I would use some lipstick in a very sort of neutral shade. But as I progressed with that, I started using more makeup, and not just when I'm dressing as a girl. When I dress as a girl like I am tonight, which as you know I love doing, I like to use everything. I mean, I use not just those products I just mentioned, but I use mascara and I use some eyeshadow, things of that sort. But now, when I'm in my male persona during the day, a lot of the day, I'm also using more makeup. Not too much, but to enhance the look of the face, to sort of accentuate the bone structure, and also to hide some of those things we don't want to see, like I said, circles under your eyes or things like that. But basically, I've worked out a routine that the more I do, the easier it gets to do, and I like doing it because it's very relaxing and sort of a time to be quiet and focus. So as I get ready for my day, I find that it's very congenial to that. So what I do is I start out using concealer, and most of the products, not all, but most of the products I use are Maybelline products, and so I usually use a concealer, a medium one, like I think their shade is like number 40. Sometimes I go a little lighter with porcelain, but usually I use the medium shade. And then after I've used concealer in the places where I need it, for my foundation, I also use a Maybelline product. I like to use the classic ivory or the ivory shade usually. Sometimes if I want, for example, more of a goth look, I might use a porcelain foundation, but typically I use foundation that's in the ivory or the classic ivory tone. Once I have put that on, then I set it with Maybelline powder, which is a very nice fine-grained powder. Goes on very well and evenly. And then you can use, I use a brush, a powder brush to smooth that out and to wipe away or brush away any excess. After I've done that, I usually color my eyebrows. I use an eyebrow pencil. Usually I like to use black or dark brown to accentuate that, and I like to arch the eyebrow just a little bit, not too much. I don't want to look like Joan Crawford, but I do arch it just a bit and cut out or pluck out some of the stray eyebrows. After I've done that, I use an eyelash bender and I apply mascara. I've been using Laura Gehlner's products. I think I mentioned her once before. It's a very fine product, but also Maybelline makes a nice a range of mascaras. So it's good to experiment with different ones, to try different things. That's part of the fun of cross-dressing, and most of all, it should be something you enjoy. It should be something very fun. So after I have put on mascara, then I use some rouge on my cheeks. I don't dot the cheeks. I only apply the rouge to my cheekbones, so that that makes that stand out a little bit, and I bring it right up to either side of the nose and then back over the face like this. So that's how I use that. And then last of all, I put on some lipstick. Usually I like to use something that is a little bit darker than beige. That's just enough to accentuate or to emphasize the lips. When I'm dressing as a girl, I like to use more vivid tones. So tonight I'm using smoking red. I've used cherry red. There are also some purples that I like. There's gray that I use sometimes if I want to have a business look. So there are different ones that are I use when I'm cross-dressing, but during the day I tend to use something that is kind of a little bit darker than beige. So that's been my experience with makeup, and I think I'm getting a little bit better at it. I still have a lot to learn, but as I said, the more I practice, I find the easier it gets, and I do find it quite relaxing. Now, the second theme of tonight's video are some of the health changes that I've noticed as I started cross-dressing, and one of these I think I mentioned a little bit in one of my previous videos, but that is that I don't eat as many carbohydrates as I used to. I found that they were making me sluggish during the day. I was eating too much bread and too many crackers. So now I try to use protein, only fish and poultry. I don't eat red meat or pork very much. But so I find that gives me more energy. And as a consequence of dropping the carbohydrates and having more energy, I lost a few pounds, about 4 or 5 pounds. Now, an interesting side effect of the weight loss, and it wasn't a lot, but it was enough, it was noticeable, is that I can fit into some of my clothes a little bit better. That's a good thing. But another thing I noticed is that my tolerance for alcohol is less because my body mass is less. As you all know, probably, the less body weight or body mass you have, the more susceptible you are, or the more you can feel the effects of alcohol. So I have taken that as a positive development. I never was a heavy drinker, but I don't drink very much, I don't drink as much as I used to. And when I drink, I try to avoid hard alcohol. Every now and then I might have a martini, but usually I focus on red wine. I think it's better for you. Another reason that, apart from health, that I think it's better not to drink quite as much alcohol is that I like to make my cross-dresser videos in the evening before I go to bed. So if I've had a little too much wine and I get sleepy, then that interferes with this, and this is more important to me than drinking wine or alcohol or anything like that. So I think that was a positive side effect of my dietary changes that I made partially in connection with cross-dressing and the desire to fit into certain clothes or to wear them a little, to be a little more slender, not too much, but a little more so that I could wear certain things in a more girlish way. So that was what I wanted to say about the health issue. As far as the items that I want to add to my wardrobe, one thing I've mentioned before, but I'll mention it again, and that is that I would really like to find a one-piece bathing suit, kind of in a retro style, maybe like mid-60s or late 60s, something maybe with a floral pattern on it that's like Warholish or something like that. I don't know. I'll see it. When I see it, I'll know it when I see it. But that's one thing I want to find. And then secondly, as we're approaching fall and winter, I would like to find a pair of thigh-length leather boots or suede boots or something like that, so that I could wear those with like a mini skirt or short skirt to have a kind of sexy new wave look that has more of an autumnal or even winter character to it. So I'm going to be looking for that. I don't want to go overboard and buy too many things, but I like to have a nice variety so that I can mix and match and try different things. And those of you who have more experience with this than I do will know that that's, very, very important. So those of you who've had more experience than I've had with it. So that's basically what I wanted to talk to tonight. And I wanted to share my relaxed mood with you, my mellow yellow mood with you, so that we could have a nice little chat about that. I hope that everybody has a very restful night, and I look forward to talking to you again. One other thing that I will briefly mention is I have noticed that since I've been cross-dressing more, I noticed that I am now really much more attentive to women and girls, not in a sexual way, but I like to see what they're wearing and how they wear it. I like to pick up the vibe of their fashion sense and sort of take notes from that. I've also been looking at some of the videos from cross-dressers and trans women and girls on YouTube. Some of your videos are wonderful, and I really do enjoy watching them, and I'm picking up all kinds of tips from that. So thank you for your efforts in that regard. I really do enjoy it. It's very helpful to me, and I'm sure to many other people too. So that's all I have to say for this evening. This is Katja Eckhart, wishing everybody a good night, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.